Welcome back to the channel. My name is Adam Smith, and today in this game overview and gameplay video, I'm checking out Furnace from Arcane Wonders. This is an engine-building Eurogame. Players are going to take on the roles of 19th century capitalists, building their industrial corporations and aspiring to make as much money as they can by purchasing companies, extracting resources, and processing them in the best combinations possible. When you set up to play Furnace, each player is going to start the game with a random startup card. The resource is depicted at the top of the card, and 4 colored discs valued 1 through 4. Now, it's worth mentioning this core box is listed for 2 to 4 players. I highly recommend picking up the expansion, as this adds a true solo experience, and on top of it adds a whole bunch of additional content to the game, different modules that you can add in and out, so you can start simplistic, and then as you gain a foothold in how the game flows and operates, you can then start adding bits and pieces in to make the gameplay even more dynamic and more complex. In the expansion, you're going to find new company cards, capitalists, new abilities, manager tokens, variable capital discs, a set of components for a 5th player if you want to play multiplayer, and the new agents for 2-player and single-player games. And it's those agents that are really important when playing solo, which is what I'm going to show you in this video. Now, it's worth mentioning there is a playmat available for Furnace. This will, of course, help you keep things organized on the game table. It's not required, but it is certainly nice to tie things all together. When you sit down at the table to set up a game of Furnace to play solo, you will be using the core rules. There'll be 2-player rules that you'll be following in order to set things up. You'll also be supplementing and making adjustments to those rules based on what's found in the expansion rules for solo play as well. So it's a combination of both these books being used together to get the table all set up. I'll show you right now how it looks. First thing you'll do is place down this tile right here, which is going to be used to house the round tracker in the grooves on the left-hand side. You'll place the round tracker inside of this tile, and you'll set it to 1 as we're starting in round 1. You can play a shorter game if you wish, going to just 3 rounds, or you can go all the way down each of the notches to 4. And you'll see as you tick down through the rounds, you'll just spin this into place as you move through this tile. When you play this game solo, you're going to be going up against 2 agents, and one agent will be on the left-hand side just off screen, and the other will be on the right-hand side. I'm going to use the 2 money locations here for the 2 AI agents that will be going up against me, so you can always see exactly how much they have currently as we go through this. In order to win the game, we simply need to be above the money of both of the agents in order to win. If we're underneath of one or both of them, then we either come in second or we lose completely. And as this is a Euro engine builder, there are resources involved, so I placed them inside of game trays. These game trays do not come inside the box. I'm simply just using them to keep things organized. But I'll go over these tokens. We have the upgrade tokens, the oil drum tokens, coal, and iron. As the resources will be used quite often through gameplay, if you happen to run out of any, you can actually use these multiplier tokens to place a resource you have on it in order to tell you have 5 of that said resource. These are double-sided tokens. One side says ×3, the other side says ×5, and there are 4 of them. And the most important resource of the entire game in order to win it is money, and we've got those broken into 2 different game trays as well. We have 10s and 25s here, 1, 2, 3, and 5 in that other tray. When playing solo, you'll also need the 6-sided die. Now let's set up the 2 AI-controlled players. These are known as agents, and these are the agent cards. There's 4 of them. They're in the expansion box. You have the oil tycoon, you have the monopolist, the coal baron, and the steel magnate. You're going to choose 2 of these, or you can randomly choose them if you wish. The backsides are all generic, so you can definitely do this without looking. I've chosen to go up against the monopolist and the oil tycoon. Monopolist on the left, oil tycoon on the right. We now need to choose our player token, and it has a corresponding color. The artwork is just artwork, but the color matters, as it'll matter in terms of which disc colors we pick to place next to each of these agent cards. So we're going to do the red one for the monopolist, and we'll go black top hat for the oil tycoon. Once you know your player color for the agents, you'll simply find the 4 matching colored discs. They're going to run 1 through 4. You can just place them in a stack somewhere near their right-hand side of the game board. We might move these later on, but for now, this will work. Some of you likely noticed in the top right-hand corner of each of the agent cards, there is a dial and there is a number, a specific one. The Monopolist has a 2 and the Oil Tycoon has a 4. You're going to set these on the variable capital disc right here, again, per the colors that are in use. But in this case, for me, I'm not going to use them as part of this play. You'll want to use these, though, because this will enhance the bidding process. I'll talk more about this at the very end of the video when I go over some of the additional modules and pieces from the expansion you can add in to further boost the gameplay and make it more strategic. It's now time to set things up for myself. Very easy, choosing a color, taking the appropriate player token, as well as the 4 discs. The only thing that I'm not getting, obviously, is the agent card. Next, we do 2 things randomly. One is we're going to take a random capitalist card. You can see 5 of them here. These come from the core box. The expansion actually tweaks one of them and adds more into the fray as well. For now, I'm just using the core ones here. And I ended up with this capitalist. It states, whenever you get compensated, consider your disc being 1 higher. The second part is to randomly select a startup card. So go ahead, shuffle these maybe behind your back, roll a die for them, and find out which one you get. I gained this startup card here, and when you first gain your startup card, you're going to take the resources depicted at the very top of the card. And the final step of setup is to place the company card deck on top of the round tracker tile right here. The core game has a first player token, but when you're playing solo, you won't need it as you'll be going first every single round. Then you're going to activate the agent on the left and then the one on the right. That's going to conclude the solo setup for Furnace. Let's now dive into gameplay. I do want to make one mention of something I alluded to earlier in the video. As you know here through the setup, we've got the core game setup here. We've also got the 2 agent cards coming from the expansion, which are required to play this game in its best light solo. Now, it's also worth mentioning I'm not using a large majority of the extra cards, modules, and things you can add in from the expansion because I want to show you how the core game operates with these 2 agent cards now implemented from the expansion. Once you have a good handle on this, you can start mixing and matching things in as you please. And as a final FYI, on page 9 of the expansion rulebook, there is a nice breakdown of how you change and modify the setup depending on which modules you're adding in or which ones you've taken out. In this case, everything's squared away. My goal at the end of the game to win it is to have more money than the agents I'm going up against, and they'll be accumulating money as well in different ways, which you will see as we go through gameplay. At this point, we're going to go through the round overview. A round inside of Furnace is comprised of an auction phase and a production phase. At the very, very beginning of every round, you're going to go ahead and split this deck right here, and you're going to draw out 6 cards when playing solo. The reason the company card deck is cut in half before you draw the 6 cards out into the row is just to ensure you're not drawing from the top of the deck when it is clearly visible. So I've got my 6 cards in the row. You're going to notice a difference between what you're seeing here with these 6 cards versus the top of this deck. You'll notice this company card right here, for example, has 2/3 of it with artwork, whereas the rest here are more centralized in the middle, and they have some resources across the top. There are 2 sides to every single company card. You have the upgraded side, which looks like this, and then you have the basic side that looks like this. When cards come into the row from the company card deck at the beginning of a round, they all come in on their basic side. Now, seeing as we're talking about the company cards on their basic side in the row, let's go over the different areas of these cards. At the very top of each card, you have the compensation area. Below, you have the basic effect, and then underneath that, you have an advanced effect. The advanced effect, as you can see, is not colored in. What that's doing is giving you advanced knowledge of what the opposite side, the upgraded side of the company card is if you choose to upgrade it. So if we chose to upgrade this particular card in the future, it will flip over, and it's telling us that this is going to turn into 2 rows of coal, which is pretty awesome. These are the terms on the company cards you need to know as we move into our first phase, which is called the auction phase. When the auction phase begins, as a solo player, I get to go first. I have 4 discs, and they're labeled 1 through 4, 4 being the best or highest bid, and 1 being the lowest or worst bid. And I'm going to go ahead and place one of these discs across one of the 6 company cards, depending on my strategy. You might want to take a look at your original startup card to see where you're going to begin. As you can see on my startup card down here, we've already gathered the coal and the iron, which I placed up here. You only get that, as I mentioned, during setup 1 time, so don't mistakenly take that over and over again. But what's down here will be produced during the production phase, which is the phase after the auction phase. So you can take a look at this to see what things you'll be able to do from your startup card. And of course, cards we happen to bid on and win from the row will end up down here, and then we can choose the order in which we produce during the production phase across the cards we acquire. So when we look at this, we're going to get ourselves an upgrade token, an oil barrel, and we can exchange one of them for 4 coins. That's good. And this one allows us to also spend a upgrade token and a coal in order to do an unlimited amount of upgrades to any company cards we have. During the auction phase, I will bid on a company card, the Monopolist will then bid on a company card, and the Oil Tycoon will bid on a company card, each using 1 disc each. And it will continue going around and around until all of the discs are used. There are 2 golden rules you must abide by when you're placing your bids. The first is there can't be 2 discs belonging to the same player on one of these company cards, and there can't be 2 discs with the same value on one card. So, strategy-wise, you have a 4 as your highest bid. The second you place it on one of the cards, it's yours, because nobody else will be able to take that away from you because they cannot match your bid. And this, of course, is valid unless other game modules or rules adjust this, but for this game we're playing right now, that is true. Now, if I go ahead and decide to use my highest bid, which is a 4 on one of these company cards, I know I'm going to be able to acquire it later on. And that's what's happening during the auction phase, is you're bidding on cards to actually acquire them and place them down here. So if I use my 4, I know I'm going to get it. The one thing to keep in mind when you place your 4 disc is you do not get the compensation at the top of the card. So that portion doesn't matter. You're going to want to focus on the bottom portions. And you don't have to place your highest bid first. You can choose anything across all 4 of the bid options you have, 1 through 4, but I'm going to place my highest bid to secure this card right here. We now move on to the left-hand side where we have our agent, the monopolist, and we're going to roll a die to determine which card is going to be the target of the monopolist. So we're going to go ahead and roll. We got ourselves a 2, this one right here. We simply then read the instructions on the card to determine how it's going to operate. So we know the monopolist is targeting the second card in the row, and it states if their highest possible bid can win the target card, place their highest possible bid on the card. Otherwise, place their highest possible bid on the next suitable card. Anytime it mentions next suitable card, you simply move to the next card to the right in the row, and then check this once more. It's probably not shocking that a monopolist will take advantage of every opportunity to win every company card possible. The other parts of the agent's card relate to the compensation, which occurs at the tail end of the auction phase, and the production phase. For now, we'll ignore these, but I'll go over them in a bit. Moving over to the right-hand side, we got the Oil Tycoon. Let's go ahead and roll the die and find out what we land on. We got ourselves a 6, which is this card right here. Now let's read the Oil Tycoon's card to find out how it operates. It says if the target card has an oil barrel, and when you're looking for this, you simply just look for the card and you're only caring about the bottom portion of the card and whether there's an oil barrel involved, which there is in this case, and it says it's going to place the agent's highest possible bid it can to win the card. Otherwise, they place their lowest possible bid on the card, and it doesn't bid on business schools. Now, that rule about business schools does not apply unless you've actually merged in the business schools from the expansion into the game, which I currently haven't done. We've gone through 1 turn of bidding. We have 3 more to go. It is back to me. I get to decide how I want to go here. And there's something to consider when you start getting to these lower bid tiers in amongst while you're trying to win company cards. Again, if you win them with the highest bid, they come down here, but you don't get the compensation. How you get the compensation is actually bidding on something, but not winning it. So for instance, if I placed a 1 here with this 4, I wouldn't care about what's down here because I'm not going to secure the card in my area, but I will get whatever's up top, and it's based on a multiplier. So if you place a 1 here, I'm getting these 2. If this happens to be a 2, it's 2 times this, so I'm getting 4. So that's another aspect to this you need to think about. And this may be obvious, but it's probably worth mentioning that yes, you can have all 3 of us on one card. One person will win the card, 2 people will just gain the compensation. I've chosen to place my second bid on this card in order to secure it for the future, so that's good. Moving on to the agent on the left-hand side, we'll go ahead and roll the die. Which card is it focused on? Number 3. So the monopolist is always going to use the highest possible bid because it is very greedy, so it's going to try and take this one. And then the Oil Tycoon is going to go next. We got ourselves a 1. As we learned before, when the Oil Tycoon targets a card, it's going to try to place its highest bid on the card if there is oil involved. But if it can't, it's going to go ahead and just place its lowest bid. So it's going to place a 1 here. I'm going to do something a little bit odd here. I'm going to go with my lowest bid on this card right here. Now we'll go over to the agent turn, the monopolist. Let's roll and find out which card it's targeting. It's going after 4, which is the one I just placed it on, and we know the monopolist will use the highest bid, so that did not work out. I was hoping I could kind of skirt under the radar there and snag that one for dirt cheap, but the AI caught me. Now the Oil Tycoon is going to go ahead and make a roll here, and it got a 5, which is going to be right here, and there is oil involved, so it's going to place its highest one. However, because its highest available disc is a 3 and that will not allow it to win the card, it will then revert its strategy to placing the lowest bid on there, which is a 2. For my final bid, I'm going to place it on this second card right here. I'm eyeing compensation of the coal. All right, let's go ahead with the monopolist next. We're going to roll the die to find out. It's only got a 1. It's going to land on the 6 here, and it knows that it cannot win this. So it says, otherwise place their highest possible bid on the next suitable card. This is a great example of the next suitable card terminology on the Monopolist card that states otherwise place their highest possible bid, which would be a 1 in this case, on the next suitable card, because if it tries to target this, it is not going to win it, which is his main goal. So because it can't, it's going to move back to the beginning, looking to see if it can place a 1, but you can't have 2 1s in one spot. Here, it's already got a bid. Here it has a bid. Here it has a bid. Here, it can actually be placed, and it'll be placed like so, going after just the compensation. Last but not least, we have the Oil Tycoon. Let's see which card it's targeting with its 3, which is quite powerful. It's going to be all the way to here, but it already has a bid on that card. The Oil Tycoon cannot place another bid on a card it already has a bid on, so it moves to the right, looking for a spot to put the 3 or a place that doesn't already have a bid from the Tycoon. There's one there, so it ended up here. That's going to do it for the very first auction. Now we're going to go ahead and stack all the discs in order on top of each company card. With all the tokens stacked, we're going to start on the left-hand side and resolve compensation and then ownership of the company card. Now, starting with the very first card, we have some compensation coming to the losing Oil Tycoon bidding on this card here. So it's going to get 1 of the compensation above, and as it states on both of the agent cards, whenever a compensation transaction occurs, and a transaction would be one of these being gained for the 1, if it happened to be a 2, it would actually be 2 transactions, which would be 2 gold. In this case, it's just going to be 1 gold. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I'm placing all the money gained by the agent on the right here. All the agent on the left will be in the top left-hand corner. So we've resolved the first one, and I am actually the winner of this company card, bidding the highest. I do not get compensation when I win the card. I simply take the card and place it down here. We now resolve the next card in the row. This one has me getting compensation, as I definitely did not win this bid, but I put a 2 here, so that's going to gain me 2 times 2 coal for 4. The Oil Tycoon is going to get 3 transactions worth off the compensation for losing the bid here, so it's going to gain 3 gold. And the Monopolist takes the company card. The next one's really easy to resolve. It's an automatic take for the Monopolist. Next up is me losing a bid on this card here, but being able to gain 1 iron. Yes, and something I forgot, but I just caught, which is good timing, is I'm actually gaining 2 iron bars, and that's because my ability on my capitalist card states whenever you get compensated, consider your disc to be 1 higher. So actually, when I gained 4 over here in terms of coal, I should have actually gained 6, because my 2 would have counted as a 3. The Monopolist is going absolutely nuts, gaining its 3rd card from the row. We move on to the next one, where it's going to gain compensation 1 transaction for 1 gold. Oil Tycoon is up next with a 2, so 2 transactions there for 2 gold. And I end up taking the card. And the Oil Tycoon rounds things out by taking the final card. Auction phase is complete. We move to the production phase, and we can choose whichever individual we want to resolve. We can resolve our agents first or ourselves. It doesn't matter. Just when you start doing one of them, resolve it to completion. So we'll start with the agent on the left. We simply take a look at the agent card. It'll state what to do in the production phase. It says, in the production phase, it gains 3 coins for each of their company cards and 3 coins for each of their manager tokens. Now, we're not using the manager tokens inside of this play, so we can ignore that. But for each one of these, they gain 3, so they've just gained 9 coins. That resolves that agent. Let's move over to the right-hand side. Over here on the right-hand side, it states in the production phase, gain 5 coins for each of their company cards with the oil drum. And again, you're talking about the bottom section of the card, which does have an oil drum, so that is 5 coins. So currently, the Oil Tycoon with 11 is just barely outpacing the Monopolist with 10. During the production phase, the best thing to do is line your cards up left to right as you want to activate them. Once you activate them, maybe just tilt them a little bit or completely 90 degrees in order to say that they're already been resolved. Once you pass by that card, you can't come back and gain any benefits from anything that's changed. So we're going to start here with this very first one. And again, we don't care about the compensation at the top. That was resolved prior. Now we're talking about the bottom section of these cards here, where it states for 1 coal, I can get 1 oil drum. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, the next portion of the card needs to be upgraded in order to make use of it. In other words, this card needs to be flipped over. So for now, that's all I can do. So sometimes you won't be able to do absolutely everything on the card, but you just work your way from top to bottom at the bottom portion of the card. So that one is resolved. We move on to this one, which tells us to grab an upgrade token. The next thing we can do, and remember, all these are maze. You do not have to do them. You have to have the resources, and you also have to choose to do them. You're not forced into actually doing any of these, but you move through them in order. So next one here is the oil drum. We can do 1 transaction of 1 oil drum for 4 coins. I have one. Let's do it. The The next row states we can use an upgrade token and a coal in order to get unlimited flips of the company cards to their upgraded sides. So that means ones we haven't actually activated or ones we have. The only kicker is if we flip this one, we are not able to use the alternate effect at the bottom because we've already activated this card during the production phase. I've paid the resources and upgraded both cards by flipping them. We're moving on to the next one, which gains us 2 coal and gives us the opportunity now, thanks to it being upgraded, to actually cash in up to 2 oil barrels for 4 coins each. And again, you can do less than what's noted here. You can do 1 transaction worth of that if you wish. Again, it's all based on resources and what you choose to do. And just like that, we've gone through the production phase and you've now seen a full round of play. We'll go to the end of the round and wrap back around and get some new company cards out. You'll note the new round beginning by simply moving the round tracker down the round tracker tile. And just like that, we're ready to go right into a new auction phase. I've chosen a bid on card number 5. I'm really liking the idea of upgrading this card in the future to get 2 iron as a resource, churning into my engine here to try to generate more points. I can generate nice points off of oil barrels and also through the combination of iron and coal, so that is a focus for me. Now let's find out what the Monopolist is going to go after. We know it's going to be very aggressive. It's going for number 2, and it can certainly take it, so it's going to drop its 4 bid on it. The Oil Tycoon is next. Let's see what we get for a roll. It is a 5, same card as me, and this one does not have a drum. So the Oil Tycoon is placing its lowest bid on the card. Next, I'm going to bid on card number 4 for 3. Time to find out what the Monopolist is going to go after. It will be card number 4, and it's going to be trying to take it. It has a 3 as its highest, so it cannot take this card. So it is placed on the next suitable card, which is right beside it. And now we're going to roll for the Oil Tycoon. Let's see what goes on here. We got a 2, and the Oil Tycoon is going to place their lowest bid there. I'm going to try and go after this one right here, placing a 2. Let's go ahead and roll the die for the Monopolist, see where it's going to land. It's going to be 5, which is right here. It certainly can't take that one. So it's going after the one next door, and we'll roll for the Oil Tycoon, find out where it's going. It's card number 1. What's really interesting is the Oil Tycoon had its 3-disc and 4-disc, and based on its card, and because the fact the targeting card does not have oil on the bottom portion of it, it's going to use its lowest disc to try and secure this. So it's keeping its 4 for last. I'm going to place my final bid right here in order to get some compensation in the future. Let's roll the die for the Monopolist and see where it's headed. It's going for card number 6. It already has it, so it will attempt on the next suitable card right here. And last but not least, we have the Oil Tycoon. Let's see where it lands. It's going to be 1. And as it cannot place another bid on this card, nor this card, it can come in here and mess me over. The second round auction phase is complete. Let's stack the tokens on each of the company cards, and then we'll go ahead with compensation and see who won each of these individual company cards. We'll start things off with a Monopolist who gets compensated for this bid, and it's going to get 1 coin. And the Oil Tycoon gains the card. The next auction's resolved, I get compensated 1 iron, but it becomes 2 thanks to the ability here on the Capitalist card. The Oil Tycoon is going to gain 2 coins compensated for this auction, and the Monopolist is going to win the auction with a 4 bid. For the next company card, you'll see I'm getting compensated, but I'm not gaining resources. This allows me to do an exchange, and I can do this exchange up to 2 times, so I can exchange one of these for 1 upgrade token if I wish. I'm going to choose not to take that compensation. The Oil Tycoon takes the card. The next company card's an easy win for me. The Oil Tycoon gets a compensation transaction off the top here for 1, so 1 gold. And the Monopolist gets 3 gold. But I gain the card. The final company card in the row is gained by the Monopolist. And now we head into our second round production phase. The Monopolist, again, very easy to resolve. 3 times the number of cards. We have 5 cards here, so that's 15 points. So as you can see, the Monopolist doing very well. I am very behind. On this side of the equation, the Oil Tycoon only gets 5 coins for every oil barrel card that they have, which is 1 right here, so 5. That does it for the 2 agents. Now back to my turn. Let's see what we can pull off for production. All right, I got my production order in line here. We're going to go ahead with this first one, gaining me an upgrade token. And then I do not have an oil drum in order to spend to get 4 coins, so we'll skip past that. But I will be using the upgrade token right away, along with 1 coal in order to upgrade all the company cards that I have that can be upgraded. So I'm going to choose this one here and this one here to flip over. Moving on down the row, we're going to go ahead and exchange 1 coal for 1 oil drum. That's a quick and easy exchange. We'll place that right here. Next up, we can go ahead and exchange up to 3 times a coal as well as an iron to get 4 coins. I'm going to do this 3 times because I've got lots to spend. Not too shabby. I'm starting to catch up to the Oil Tycoon that currently has 19 points. I've got 16. Let's keep on going here. We can exchange an oil drum in for 4 coins. Let's go ahead and do that. Done deal. We are now 1 point ahead of the Oil Tycoon, and we're going to gain ourselves 1 iron back and 2 coal. The next card will give us 2 coal and the ability to cash in oil barrels, but I don't currently have any. And finally, at the very tail end here, we can exchange 2 coal twice over in order to get 2 coins and then another 2 coins. And I think I'm going to do it. Last but not least, we also gain back 2 iron, so I've gone ahead and placed those in my resources. Got lots of iron here for the future. Little on the low side for coal, but we have managed to push ourselves up to 24, and the highest individual, the monopolist, which is not surprising, is currently at 29, but we're right behind him. We're now heading into our 3rd round of play, so we'll move the round tracker to the 3rd position on the track. We got our 6 new company cards out. Let's start the bidding. Starting off the 3rd round auction phase, I'm going after this card right here, which is great for me as I have lots of iron generated. I can convert things into oil barrels. Great news. Also potentially upgrade this in the future. 3 coal converted to some coins. So all of that really beneficial for what I'm building here. So that's my choice. Here comes a greedy monopolist to see what it'll take, and it's going to grab number 4. Next up is the Oil Tycoon. Let's see which one he's going after. Number 2. The Oil Tycoon is going to place his lowest bid on the card because there's no oil here. I honestly think this one is too good to ignore and might have been a better place for my 4. It was a little tough choice between the 2, but you know what? I could still get this stolen away from me as there is a 4 out there still for the Oil Tycoon. All right, Monopolist, what are you going after this time? It's going for number 2. The Monopolist does exactly what it does and just barges in and steals the card. And now we go to the Oil Tycoon, and it got a 2, which is the same card it's already on. So it'll move to the next one to the right and place a low bid as there's no oil there. I'm going to go ahead and place my 2 bid on this one here, knowing I won't win it, but I'm going to be going after some coal. And because that 2 will turn to a 3, thanks to my Capitalist card, that will generate quite a bit for me. Monopolist is up next. Let's go ahead and see how this goes. We got ourselves a 1. So right here, it is going to try to win it, but only has a 2 and a 1, so it cannot. So it says it will otherwise move to the placing its highest bid on the next suitable card. So it can't place it here. It can't place it here because the highest card, or highest bid it has is a 2 anyway. So it can't do there, can't do it here, can't go here. It's already bid. It can go here. Let's see what the Oil Tycoon does. He got a 1. And a very big power move by the Oil Tycoon, as it does have oil here, so it's going to place its highest bid possible to win the card, and it's going to. I'm going to go ahead and place my last bid right here, just looking to eye up some iron in the future. Let's go to the Monopolist and see where its 1 is going to land. 6 is the target card, and it can try and take it. Wow. That's pretty incredible. This one has an oil drum on it, so the Oil Tycoon is probably going to try to go after this thing. We'll see how it goes. It got itself a 5. Can it place the 3 here? Yes, it does. As it can't place its highest bid in order to win this, it'll place its lowest instead. That wraps up the bidding for the auction. Let's stack all of these discs and we'll go through the compensation and who gains each company card. Now this one works out pretty good for me because I put a 3 here, and 3 of those 2 coal is going to be a total of 6, but I get to pretend as if I've got a 4 there when I'm getting compensated. So that is going to be 8 coal. That's a lot of coal, and that's pretty awesome. Now the Oil Tycoon is going to take the card. The Oil Tycoon will also be taking compensation for losing out on this one for 1 gold. And he's worked his way up to 20 gold. The Monopolist wins the card. As I lost this auction, I get compensation, and it's going to be increased by 1, so it's going to be 2 iron. And the Oil Tycoon secures the card. The next company card has me getting compensated for 3, as I get +1 off the Capitalist card, so it's going to be a total of 6 coal. And the Monopolist scoops up this company card. Next up, the Monopolist gets compensated for 2, so 2 gold. The Oil Tycoon gets compensated for 3 gold, and I ended up winning this card. And last but not least, the Monopolist sneaking in with a 1 bid on this card to win it. The Monopolist, counting up all of its company cards, it has a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Times 3 is 24 points. The Monopolist now with a whopping 55 points that we're chasing after. The Oil Tycoon upped its game with its oil barrels. It has 1 right here and 1 right here on 2 cards, so that's 10 coins. I think I got my production all set up. We're going to start off with this one right here. So it's going to gain us one of the upgrade tokens. I'm never going to take this because I'm going to immediately use it anyway. The drum here, I don't have to convert right now, so we're skipping past that. Pretend I still have that upgrade token. I'm spending it right now, along with one coal, in order to do some upgrading. And the only card I'm upgrading this time is the one I just recently gained. Flipping this over, and that's really going to help me out. Now, at the very top of this card right here, we have two we can exchange to get two oil drums. So I've completed that, and now we're going to go ahead and exchange 9 coal, because I can do this up to 3 times to gain 12 coins. After cashing that in, I have a total of 36 points now, so I'm ahead of the Oil Tycoon, but I'm still way behind the Monopolist. Let's see if we can generate some things here. Next up, it says we can spend a coal to get another oil drum. I'm going to go ahead and do that 100%, so now we're at a total of 3 drums. And then it says we can go ahead and get rid of 1 coal and 1 iron in combination. So I'm going to do this 3 times in order to bring on a whole bunch of points. We get another 12. We now have a total of 48 points. We are closing in on the leader. We move to the next thing here, and it says that we can go ahead and cash in 1 oil drum for 4 coins. I'm going to go ahead and do that. We're also going to gain an iron and 2 coal. We are now up to a total of 52, and we've also gone ahead and gained the resources, the 1 iron and 2 coal. We move to the next card, so we gain 2 coal, and then we can actually cash in our 2 barrels here for 8 more gold. And that move right there just put us ahead of the Monopolist. And we go into the next card here. We can choose to cash in some more coal in order to get some more points. I think I might just do it once, though, and hold on to the rest of the coal, because we might need it to churn through everything else we got going on here, which can pump out some higher numbers, I think. I'm kind of tempted to do this twice, though, to be honest. Actually, let's just do it. Let's do it twice over, because that's our limit. We'll gain 4. So that's going to do it on top of gaining the 2 iron. So we end up with 5 iron over here, 2 coal left over, and we have a total of 62 points to the 55 for the Monopolist, and we have 33 for the Oil Tycoon. So if we can hold on to this lead going into the 4th round, we can secure a victory. The round tracker's been updated to 4. We got all of our new cards in the row, and the one thing I am noticing, there is a lot of oil drums in these cards, so the Oil Tycoon will really appreciate that. Starting off this auction phase for the 4th round, I'm going after this one as it really could help me. As you can see, when I come out the other end of each round, I've got myself quite a bit of iron left over and typically can generate quite a bit of coal. So this could be a really good way to convert some of that in the future. Plus the ability to actually create more oil barrels could be good. We're going with that. Let's see where the Monopolist decides to go. It's going to be 4, taking the highest card. So we'll drop the chip there. And next up, we have the Oil Tycoon going at 6. And it's oil-based, so it's going to go after it. For me, this is a tough call. There might be a better choice than what I'm about to do, but I'm going to go with a 3 on this one. All right, Monopolist, let's see what you're up for next. We got ourselves a 2, which is the same one that I'm on. So as they cannot win the card I've already got, they're going to go ahead to the next suitable card and take it at the highest bid. So we're going to go over to the Oil Tycoon, who's going for number 3, which is this one. I'm going to try and take this card right here. We'll see if it actually pans out. The Monopolist currently has a 2 and a 1 left over. Let's see what they get. They have a 2. And because they cannot win the targeted card, they'll continue trying to place their token until they can. They ended up placing the 2 over here. And now we're going to the Oil Tycoon, who's going to go ahead and roll. We got a 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Out of the remaining options, I'll place my last bid here. Monopolist has 1 last token remaining. It's a 1 in my hand, so it cannot be placed here, but it can be placed right here. And the final bid for the Oil Tycoon is going to be a 2. And the Oil Tycoon's final chip goes right here for a bid. That's going to wrap things up. Let's stack the chips and we'll resolve them. The first one's easy. I gain this card. Next up, the Oil Tycoon is going to gain 3 gold, and I'm going to take the card. Next up, the Oil Tycoon is going to gain a gold for being compensated here, and it looks like the Monopolist gets the card. On this one, I'm being compensated. I can exchange 1 oil drum for 3 iron, but I don't have any to do that with, so can't do anything about it. Moving on to the AI player. The AI player is going to take 2 gold, and the Monopolist gains another card. The Monopolist is also going to gain 2 compensation off this one, but I get the card. The final company card gives compensation to the Monopolist of 1 gold, and the card goes to the Oil Tycoon. That wraps up all compensation. Production for the Monopolist, very straightforward, as he has exactly 10 cards. 10 times 3, 30 points. The Monopolist comes out of the game with a total of 88 points. The Oil Tycoon has a total of 2 cards with oil on it, so that's a total of 10 points, for a grand total of 49 points. Final production is all in order. We're going to gain 2 coal to start off here. We don't get the benefit of this because it's not upgraded. Next, we have the opportunity to exchange a barrel for money, but we do not have any, so we're going to continue on. We gain 1 of the iron and 2 coal. Continuing down the row, we're going to go ahead and gain an upgrade token. I'm not going to actually take it right now because I'll be using it right away. Although actually, yeah, I will be, because there's 1 card down here and 1 card down here that'll generate me some resources. So we're going to go ahead right now, take the upgrade token, and we're going to use it almost right away because I'm not going to be doing the barrel thing anyway. The upgrade token and the coal spent in order to upgrade cards. So we're going to flip this one to the opposite side, and we're going to flip this one to its opposite side like so. And this one's been resolved. Now we're going to do a quick exchange here for 2 iron for 2 barrels. So we'll place 2 barrels in here, take 2 iron away. After that, we have the choice we want to spend 3 coal to get 4 coins. I'm going to hold off on this because I believe this card is much better. I'm going to go ahead right now and also spend a coal in order to get another barrel. And then we're going to go ahead, and this is the reason I held off, we're going to spend a coal and 1 iron together 3 times over in order to get 12 points. We now have a total of 76 gold. We're getting up there. The next one here is 2 coal converts to 1 oil barrel, but I don't want to do that and can't even afford it anyway. Next one is we can go ahead and exchange for another 4, so we can do that because we have 1 of each. This is getting pretty tense. We're at 80 gold right now. Next up, we're going to gain 2 coal. So we'll place 2 coal back in here. And at this point, we're able to exchange 2 drums for 8 points. So it's going to give us an 88 total. Right now, we are dead even at 88. The next one here says we can exchange 2 to get 2. And that's all I need to do to pull ahead. So I'm going to go ahead right now and do it. We also go ahead and gain an oil barrel, and that one is done. Next up, it says we can go ahead and exchange more coal for more money, but we can't. We gain 2 steel, and that is going to round things out. We literally just beat the Monopolist by 2 points. And that, my friends, wraps up the gameplay for Furnace coming from Arcane Wonders. I really hope this helps you make an informed decision on it. And just know that what you've seen here is just the main core of the solo play. It's just using the core box and the agent cards to allow you to play solo. But the expansion has so many individual modules you can add into the fray. Ones you like, you can take out ones you don't like. You can mix and match things in order to increase the complexity and strategy of your play. Taking a look inside the expansion booklet, you're going to see components which were not used as part of this playthrough, but you'll be able to add them in as they're all part of the expansion. Things like extra double-sided company cards, you have manager tokens, personal manager tokens, business school cards, you also have extra startup cards, extra capitalist cards, including one that gets updated, and a number of other components that come as part of this, like the dials, which we didn't use. I'll continue through the rulebook so you can see some of the new effects and terms and other things that come as part of the expansion. Flipping ahead a couple pages, we get to a section that is very important as it has restrictions depending on which modules you choose and not choose to play with. They'll be all listed right here. And on the final couple pages, you'll find the solo rules, which I applied to the game I just played. You have 5-player games in here as well, and some text effect clarifications. And that, my friends, wraps up the game overview and gameplay video for Furnace and the expansion Furnace Interbellum from Arcane Wonders. If you have any questions whatsoever or would like to comment on the gameplay, would love to hear your feedback in the comments down below. Hopefully this helps you make an informed decision on it, and as always, keep on rolling solo.